you know why you're here. You're here to learn some air freezes. You're here to learn some one-handed freezes, some two-handed freezes, as long as they're in the air. Welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm AJ47 from Soul Mavericks crew. I've divided up these air freezes into 4 different categories. I've got the one-handed air freeze category, two-handed air freeze category, the hanging freeze category, and the swipe lock category. I've put all of these freezes into categories because when you've learnt the technique for one, you can kind of do most of the others in that category as long as you practice them. It's only about a slight weight distribution change and leg positioning. Okay guys, before we get started, I would recommend knowing how to at least chuck a handstand for a couple of seconds. I want you to be able to chuck an open-legged handstand and a scissor-legged handstand. I would also recommend learning a cartwheel in both directions. Having the cartwheel in both directions will just make it easier for you to understand how your weight falls from side to side. It will also teach you some control on each hand. These next 2 moves are introductory drills. Now, I don't really expect you guys to use these in a battle. They're not really that great. Visually, they're not that great, but there have been breakers that have used them and have made them work. So obviously, that's just my opinion. Feel free to try and use them if you want, but I call them the Y and the I freeze. We don't do Y and I freeze, but check it out. This is the Y freeze and Y freeze, and then the I freeze is literally I freeze, okay? The Y and I freeze will kind of just give you an understanding of how to shift your weight from 2 hands to 1. When you're learning the one-hand freeze, any one-hand freeze in particular, this is a handstand and your body's straight, and you have to push your hips over towards the master hand. So you become sort of like a T. So this would be running down my center now, and my hips would be pushing over to the side to allow that counterbalance. So the further my legs come down, the further my butt goes this way, hence making the T. You can see this more clearly here with this freeze. As you can see, the arm is straight, and the further the hips come this way, the lower my legs can go. This was also down to flexibility a little bit, but you get the general idea. All right guys, so something really simple before we even get started going upside down, and I'm trusting that you guys have got a little bit of experience doing the handstand, the open-legged handstand, the scissor handstand, and the cartwheels both ways. Right, once you've got that, you should also have the base freezes before you go upside down, trying the harder freezes. So for example, shoulder freeze. Now the reason why hang on, let me explain. Before trying to go upside down, you want to try all of your breaking shapes in the shoulder freeze because the angle is pretty much the same. I'll show you what I mean. So you saw the intro. Now look at the shapes and the legs that I can make from here. Okay, shoulder freeze. You've got the L kick or the Nike freeze. Okay, all right. You've got the figure 4. Like so, alright? You've got the other figure 4, the 2 tucked figure 4s, like so. You've got the swipe lock, and you've got a bunch of other shapes here, okay? Now also, you can practice the shoulder freeze to balance one-handed, like so. And then you can also practice threading, okay? Which helps your understanding of how your hips should fall, where the positioning is, and it makes it a lot easier and a lot safer before trying that stuff upside down. When going upside down, when going on your hands, it requires a certain level of confidence, okay? A certain level of trust and security being on your hands. Knowing how to fall is also important as well. Hence why I said certain things were necessary before, like these kind of like flash handstands and cartwheels, preferably on both sides. Because at some point, sometimes you will transfer to the other hand and you have to make sure it's kind of reasonably not even strong, but just reasonably ready to catch your weight and to transfer your weight so you don't injure yourself, basically. The first freeze we're going to learn is an L kick. So the L kick is usually done from the side, hence why I got you guys to do the cartwheel first. I'm going to place my left hand down. I'm going to try and keep looking towards you guys or at the ceiling. If I look towards the ceiling, my legs can come down lower. If I look towards you guys, they're a little bit more off, but it gives me a bit more control and a bit more projection to my opponent or to the audience or whoever I'm performing to. Instead of a cartwheel just like this, I'm going to step to my leading leg. This is my lead. I'm going to go this way. So this will be my leading leg. I'm going to step it behind. This leg is going to come up and kick towards my ear. Little step, hand, leg. Ready? Here, kick. You can also try the capoeira version, where they keep both legs wide open. I don't think it looks that great for breaking, but in capoeira I have seen it used, and I've seen it in capoeira photographs. So for example, you go from here, you step behind, you'll scissor, but you'll keep your legs in the Y shape. From here, and Y, okay? I wouldn't use this in a battle. I don't think it looks that fresh, but again, my opinion doesn't have to be yours. Do you know what I'm saying? You can get the legs to go down further still if you look towards the foot. So if you look towards the foot, you can get the leg to come down. You can grab the foot for start, like so. I first learned this holding onto a bar. It was on the back of a DDR machine, which is one of those dance machines in the arcade. The first people I met when I started breaking used to dance on those. I saw them doing L kicks on the machine. I wanted to learn the L kick on the machine, and the bar seemed like a safer option than dropping on my head in front of people. So it made sense. Now, obviously, I don't have a bar here. What I can use is a friend. I can hold my friend's hand and do the same thing, and your friend can support you. They can support themselves even more if they hold their arm like this, but since we're all on lockdown, it's probably not going to happen. An alternative is to use a wall. So a wall like this. If you've got a thin wall like mine, don't use it because you're going to smash the wall. If you smash the wall and you break it, don't blame me. But basically, place a hand here, you L kick, and you place it like this, okay? Don't kick the wall, you want to kick your ear. If you kick your ear, it's much easier, and you want to miss the wall, okay? It's a little safety way to do it, but again, I've had a fair bit of practice on that, so you're cool. Second point to note is when we're going into these freezes, if my chest is like this, my hips, I'll go humming down. If I open my chest like this, my hips will stay up, okay? Because it's the same as this stretch move here, okay? And in fact, you want this leg to go behind you, not coming in front of your nose, but almost behind your ear, okay? So it goes more this way. The more it goes this way, the more of a lock you're gonna get. It requires a little bit more strength and control, trying it from the ground from this position here, but it's still possible. This one you can use two hands to support and then turn to face the ceiling or face your opponent or the audience, okay? So notice how I've got my hand not turned this way, because this way is the handstand entrance way and it's more ideal. If I do it this way, it's hard to control, okay? So I'm going to go from here. It's actually very similar to a baby freeze, but just upside down, okay? Notice that. So when I go from here, I'm going to swing this leg up and it's going to come down to my ear. 3, 2, 1, and down to the ear. Okay? Again, if I look up, slightly different variation, slightly different tweak, but same sort of result. Up. This time I'm going to try this move from the ground. I'm going to turn my back to you guys. I'm going to place both hands down. I'm going to press into both fingers, okay? You have to be really strong. You push. Not only do you push through your shoulders, but you have to push through here as well. You push to make this really strong. Now, watch this little technique here when I'm freezing. If I do that, nothing happens, okay? There's no engagement going on here, okay? So if I do that, nothing's happening. But if I turn the shoulder, okay? All this engagement happens here now. You see my lat's firing now. That's strength, that's strong here, that's going to be strong. That also helps me a lot. So it feels like there's a pole running all the way down my arm and I'm pushing it through here. So you push like that, you push like this and activate this muscle here. It's really important guys. Give that a try before even trying it upside down. Turn, not just with the wrist, but turn with the shoulder like this. Open out the chest, you see that? You open out the chest. And that way, your hips can't come down and collapse. So now the variation of that same move I prefer, which is the Nike freeze. So the Nike freeze, the leg will go like this. It can also be supported by, if you grab it from the front or from the back. When I'm doing this, I don't have my hands too wide apart. If you have your hands too wide apart, you have to really shift to get your weight to the other side. It's better to have them shoulder width apart, roughly, and then shift your weight like this. It's much easier to shift your weight when your hands are closer together. So again, from here and up. Good. Now again and up. Good. Now same thing but with the hand behind. Okay, and this allows you to learn the freeze a little bit easier. As I demonstrated in my last tutorial when I was in, not my last tutorial, but when I was in Vietnam, I made a tutorial where I was doing the hand freeze and it was really cool. I showed you the way where I jump into it, 2 hands to 1 hand. That's still a valid way to try it, and I would heavily recommend you learn. So you go 2 hands, 1 hand, okay? Now we're going to try the same thing, but we're going to go 1 hand, 1 hand, okay? So you go 1 hand, you give yourself a little hop, like so. Now, just for clarity on the hopping, I've got my hips like this, they're tucked and they pop. But I also have to, remember, open the chest. So if my arm is down like this, I have to have my hips like this, push, okay? This way, my chest is open and my hips are locked. It's really important to not do this with your hips. It happens sometimes, but it takes a little bit more work for the core to bring the hips back to here, okay? So it's not all lost and a huge mistake when you do this. However, it's much easier to keep the hips firing from this position, okay? From these positions, it makes it a lot easier. So going back to the L kick, we can also use this for the figure 4 shape. We'll go L kick, up, figure 4, okay? Really easy to do. And now we're going to try it from the ground and then from standing. When you're in these thinner shapes, you need to push your butt more over to the side, okay? More over the back side of your arm. All right, so for me to try and improve my balance on that one, that's exactly what I'm going to try and do, is push my butt more this way. Check it out. Hopefully it works. There you go, okay? So it's just playing with that and understanding how that weight works. So if this is your balance, you need to make sure that this is distributed, this little seesaw or T shape I was referring to earlier. Last position to try it from is from standing. I'm going to go 2 hands to 1. I'm going to do it with a little hop this time as well. So 2 hands, 1. Next we're going to talk about the tuck position. The tuck position is basically just bringing your knees to your chest. The leading knee to the armpit, the other arm kind of to the other side of the chest. So if I'm on this arm, my knees are going to kind of be like this to the side. The tuck shape is a really cool shape to make. I find it one of the easiest shapes to make, and sometimes, like, if I hit a good tuck, I can be there what feels like forever. I mean, sometimes when you watch the footage back, it's only a couple of seconds, but a couple of seconds when you're upside down and you're not used to holding it for that long, feels like forever, and it's a really cool feeling. So yeah, the tuck shape, again, it can be done from the L kick position. You'll go up and you'll bring your knee straight down towards your chest, but you'll bring in your leading knee down towards your armpit, and then the other knee close together, squeezing together, almost twisting like this, okay? If you're familiar with what an air chair looks like, how the B-boys would twist, it's the same thing, it's just that your arms straight, okay? You need to twist and have the legs going behind you, which makes it a lot easier. So when I'm standing here, boom, I'm gonna go into that tuck position. I'm gonna go from the ground, tuck. I've never found this freeze easy to just sort of place the hand and catch the legs. It's always had to be from a hop or from some kind of stacking combination for me. That's what I find makes the most sense, because you get the impact and the freeze and you get to hop onto that balance point. So it's important to sort of learn how to hop on the hands at least once or twice. When I use the little hop, my hands are here. Say like this is my center here. I'm gonna hop onto my center. Hand, hop, okay? Let's try it again. Hand, hop, see, boom. The tuck freeze is also really easy to try from sort of stacking freezes. For example, like the headstand, it's probably the most easiest one, and it gives a nice little sort of variation in contrast of dynamics. So check it out. So head freeze up, so freshness up, freeze, okay? Love it. It becomes really consistent. Yeah, tuck freeze, sick. Once you have the tuck freeze, you can switch the tuck with this leg on top or this leg on top. Really easy to do, but just remember, whatever leg's on top, which would be this one, in this case this is the bottom leg, but when you're upside down this is going to be the top leg. This is the one that has to drive down to really make that freeze stick, and now this one is the one that has to drive down to really make that freeze stick. A bit more flexible glutes and do help, but you get the general idea. Tuck, tuck with a hop, hop, hop. If you're feeling really fancy, you can do the same thing and grab the leg. Whoops, almost died. But you get the idea. All right, the pike freeze. So really easy to fall out of this one, so make sure that you can fall safely. If you do fall, take the impact on your shoulders and your feet. Not your shoulder like this, but the shoulders at the back, but try and break your fall with your hands. Just try not to fall, because it's not fun. But when you get stuck in the pike freeze, it's not fun. Positioning, same as the tuck here, but just with straighter legs, okay? Straight legs. Remember, the legs are both trying to dangle behind your ear. So if I'm on this arm freezing, I don't want my legs to go this way. If they go this way, my hips are going to rotate and I'm going to come down to the floor. This other hand, this free hand, you kind of want to do something with it. You either grab your head or you grab your foot for style. Just because the hand waving about freely, it doesn't look that great. It's not too bad actually. If you've got it out at the back here, it doesn't look too bad. You just don't want the arm flailing about, making you uncool when you're doing such a cool freeze, because it's definitely a really cool freeze. Probably one of the greater freezes, I think. But I'm old school. I'm from the early 2000s, so that was my kind of upbringing. Everyone was doing that. It was almost too much. It was too much. It was too much. Everyone was doing it. Every round finished with a rollback air chair or a rollback one hand freeze to thread or something. Anyway, it was dope though. It was dope. So because there's such a high risk of falling, I think the best way to try the pike freeze first is from the ground. I'm going to go up to here. I'm going to do it without a hop at first, which is not my favourite way. I'm going to go up, freeze. I'm going to look up to the ceiling this time. I'm going to try that technique. Freeze. Okay, a little bit better, I guess. I always prefer the hop. Right, excellent. Now let's try the same thing from standing. Just walking into it without a hop. I'm probably going to lower this leg down first and bring the other one down to it. So I'm going to stand like this, push my hips over that way, place my hand down, grip the floor with your fingertips to make sure that you're on balance. And allow your leg to come over your ear like this. Freeze. Let's try it with a little hop now. So I'll go hop, hop, which I find a little bit better for balance. Let's try the same technique but look at the ceiling. See if that makes any difference, see if I can get the legs a little bit lower. Hop, hop. Okay. I don't think they went that low. I feel a bit stiff. But you get the idea. That's the basics of the pike freeze. The flamingo freeze is really easy. I just called it that for a bit of fun. But this freeze was one of my first freezes I started using in competitions, just because it was relatively easy and pretty consistent to hit, basically. So I'd hit it more times than not. All you're doing in the freeze is switching like that. Okay? You're literally shifting your weight all the way over and touching this leg on the inside of your thigh, above the knee. Boom, like that, okay? Hands on the floor, push the hips over this way. 3, 2, 1, and freeze. See that? So sometimes it just takes a little bit of practice to get that move consistent. And the more times you practice it, the more consistent it's going to be. And then the other part is that once you have it, you have to practice it with the entrance to get the entrance and the freeze consistent as well. And then also where you've placed it in your round depends on how tired you're going to be, how much energy you've got left. So maybe when you're starting out with these moves and you do have it into a combination or a pattern or something, try and do that at the beginning of your round, and then as your control and stamina and strength and all of that stuff and your trust in that combination improves, then you can pull it later on in the round towards maybe having it as a big finish, for example. Hope that's helpful. Okay, the switch freeze, same technique, same category really. You can either do it with just scissoring the legs, or you can do each shape change with a mini hop. It's up to you. It depends on which way you find the most comfortable. But again, the techniques are not really variating that much. It's a good way to sort of practice it is from the shoulder, just to get used to it, because the hips do slightly change, because you have to then watch how the hips rotate this way a little bit more. Otherwise you dangle this way and you'll fall down to the ground. So you kind of have to recreate that upside down, which is why you should practice it in the shoulder freeze first before trying it upside down without a hop. That's what I'm going to try first. So help, hop, okay? I got it, but I didn't hold it, okay? Now try it with a hop, which might be easier for myself. So, ha. Again, didn't really hold it, but you get the general idea. You can practice that, and hopefully you'll have it better than me. Okay, the last one in this category is the threads. I did them quite a lot. Again, I told you I was influenced heavily by Pokemon Crew at the time when I first started breaking, as they were the world champions at the time. I guess the best technique I can tell you is to look at the foot when you thread, or look at the ceiling. So looking at the foot really helps. If I go this way, I only do this from standing usually, and maybe a hop freeze, but I will hit the freeze first and then thread, or I will just go straight into it and thread, for example. But it's much easier just going straight into it than it is to hop. It's not impossible, of course, but it takes a little bit more work. So for this one, for the demonstration, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to go in, look at the foot, thread, okay? Didn't hold it, but I could still see the foot. I'm going to try it. So this was the back thread. I'm going to try the one in the front now. Same thing, look at the foot, okay? From here, look at the foot, thread. And as you improve, you can start putting them into combination, as you can see here. I'll extend this leg, I'll go into an outside inwards pretzel with my right leg, and then grab, look at the foot and thread. Ready? Oh, oxygen. Here we go. Thread. So first of all, the hanging freeze. Now, the best way I'd like to try to get you guys to practice hanging freezes is by placing your hands down on the floor, and you're going to walk all the way around to the side like this, okay? Now your hips are facing down to the ground. This is no good, we can't have that. So what you're going to do is you're going to stay here, and you're going to bring this leg up like this, okay? Like this. And now this knee is going to drive upwards, okay? So I'm going to maybe widen my stance a little bit, and I'm going to drive this knee upwards a little bit to here, okay? See that? I'm going to do it a little bit more, and then as I do that, I'm going to stretch the straight leg down towards the ground, like this. And now you should balance, okay? But it's really important that you have to pull the legs apart. If you pull just one, it's okay, but it helps more if you pull that one up over towards your ear and then this one down towards the floor, okay? You can literally sort of, I haven't done this one in a while, so we'll see if it works, but you can literally just pull the top leg up and pull the leg down from the floor, and you should float. I mean, this will take a while, but it's a good way to sort of build up the conditioning without ever having to take the risk of falling over. We can try it. Let's see if that still works for me. Pull the leg up, pull, 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 there you go, okay? And then it floats, okay? Hanging freeze 101. Obviously I made it look really easy, but when I was training that, I spent a long, not started every session with that, but pretty much near the beginning of every session, I would do that. I also did it on the other side as well, not as much, obviously, but you can kind of learn that on both sides. It's not too hard. It's more about pulling the other leg at the top. So give that one a try, hanging freeze. Later on, when you're feeling a bit fancy and fresh, you can kind of go hanging freeze, freeze, okay, to the one hand sort of thing. If you've got a cool entrance into that, the pull on this will aid to the counterbalance, if that makes sense. So it's really cool, you can do that. And obviously, as I did in the demonstration, which you can see again here, I go from air baby and I go up to the hanging freeze. Okay, next one in the hanging freeze category is changing the leg shapes, I guess. This one here, you can play with the leg shapes. Not really a fan so much of these shapes, but you can play with them. You can get them to lock, and if you've got a nice entrance, again, they can look really fresh. I suppose you can also try a Nike version of this too, or more of a Flamingo version. So for example, if I go like this one you have to look under, place your head on your side, and you're going to lean over towards this arm. So this is my support arm, this is my master arm. Very much like a chair freeze, just elevated above. So now we're moving on to the two-handed freeze category. In the two-handed freeze category, the way that this basically works is very much like the hanging freeze category we just done, but you're going to place your head onto your support arm. So this now becomes less of a move like an air baby and more like a chair freeze. So if I'm in a chair freeze like this, for example, okay, if I'm in a chair freeze like this, or any kind of shape, like so, the same thing, how my head is close to this arm, my support arm, this would be my master arm, still relatively wide apart, wider than shoulder width apart. I'm going to place my head on this arm, okay? And I'm going to tuck here, and it makes it easier to balance, okay? And I can sort of play with the different shapes in this position, like so, okay? So using that chair freeze technique with my arm against my support arm, I can kind of tuck, and I should be able to play with different shapes. The more you practice balancing in that shape, the more you should be able to lock and balance it. It's a different kettle of fish when you are actually trying to get into these freezes from some kind of movement or combination. So again, hands relatively wide apart, hips up, my head is going to go towards this, so I'm going to lean forward like this. I'm going to make sure that my left arm is really strong, holding my weight, and my hips are turning, my chest is turning out, which will keep my hips up. If my hips come down or my chest comes down, my hips will come crashing down to the ground as well. So like the chair freeze, you have to open up the chest. This is what I mean when I say open up the chest. Bring it up to towards the ceiling, or kind of towards your opponent this way. So let's try that. So we'll go from here, chest up, head here, you can see, starting to balance. And now let's try to play with the shapes. Okay, you get the idea? Okay, whoops. I haven't practiced that in a minute, but definitely one for the list for myself. But you can kind of see how once I've kind of got the balance, there's sort of a lock here. And if you're flexible, you can kind of apply that same technique to inverts on the side. Which is a technique I don't have anymore. I used to have it, but I'm not that flexible now in my shoulders. So maybe you are, maybe it's something you can practice. Use that as a gateway to that kind of range of movement. So that would be your flag freeze, your chair freezes, your two-handed handstand side freezes. And the last category, but not the least category, is the swipe block. I definitely recommend learning the swipe block on both sides. As you can see from this entrance here, I'm doing a kick swipe into the move. The kick swipe, I've made that tutorial already. You can go and click the white card at the top here to watch that tutorial. And now this entrance, as you can see here, I'm doing a 2-footed bounce from the baby freeze and jumping into the swipe block position. And that way I don't have to swing my legs, I just have to snap the shape once I land, because this is on the other side for me. When you're performing this freeze, it is important to know that if I'm here, for example, to lock the actual freezes, the leg that's trailing behind, which would be this one, has to go over as far as it possibly can, okay? It has to go over as far as possibly can, otherwise it won't lock. If you leave it here, hanging here, it's going to bring you straight down. So you have to bring it all the way over until it locks. So there will be a lock, there will be a point when you can't twist anymore. That's the point that you need to get to. You can kind of see that here again from the shoulder freeze on my opposite side. If I go up, and twist all the way over, okay? Same thing on the other side. Up, twist all the way over. You have to make sure that your back is limber and warm for this. It's really easy to pull your lower back doing this freeze. If you're super flexible, you probably, or super mobile in that area, you probably won't have that problem, but just be mindful of that and practice it. You can sort of practice it going from here, from these positions as a basic first, as you go over, like so, half position 0, same thing on the other side, over, like so, okay? And that's the swipe block. Thank you once again for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope you've enjoyed my air freeze tutorial on the top 12, I believe it was 12 that we done, top 12 air freezes that you can use for your repertoire right now. Go away and practice those, take your time with them, make sure you're warm before you practice, and they're great additions. It would be nice to see some more air freezes coming back into fashion, especially if they're delivered well and they have beautiful transitions into them and out of them. Hopefully I've given you some ideas on freezes and shapes that you can use, and maybe even some entrances that you can use. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe if you are new, like the video if you like it. If you would like to support the channel, you can do by checking out the links in the description. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much once again. Catch you on the next one. Peace.